Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, 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 namanda. Hello and welcome as we join together in acknowledging Bodhi Day 2020. With palms pressed together, please join me in Gassho. Our former bishop, Sochokoshi no Gui, would often say, "My life is not only my life. My life is made up of the countless sacrifices, caring, and kindness of others. Thus, let us strive to live with gratitude in our hearts and minds. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, 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 namanda." Please join us for the singing of the Gatha, Amida's Paradise, on page 81 of our Purple Service book. Please join me in reciting the three treasures found on page 3 of our Purple Service book. Fortunate is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Rare is it to encounter the teachings of the Buddha. Now we hear it. If we do not seek the truth of the Dharma in this life, in what life shall we find it? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken within us our highest aspiration. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the Dharma and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord, in a life of harmony, in a spirit of universal brotherhood, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through ages of myriad of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful teaching. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, 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 namanda. Next, please join me in the chanting of Jews Seige. 黒人少年上映修本業四愚無浄土一生天人師人力縁大公不生無才道少女三苦名交際集約難回避知恵言名詞根門案閉塞小悪道通達全宗門高僧上満蔵異様老寺法日月修十期天候恩普賢一周解放像公正功徳法上王大集中説法施施空空有一切仏空即修徳法願念出上満徳一三界王如仏無下知通達未消門願学営利投資最小損志願や効果大善を感動国書天人東鎮妙見アマンダブアマンダブアマンダブアマンダブアマンダブアマンダブ何にしくどくよどせいさいどほんぼだいしんおじょあんらこナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダ。If you please join me in reciting the golden chain found on page 5 of our purple service book. Golden chain. I am a link in Amora's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. I will be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amida's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, 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 namanda. Good morning, and welcome to the first Sunday of December. Even though our temple services remain paused for COVID-19 precaution, a casual glance shows that our Sangha has adapted and remained active as ever. Coming off the heels of a hugely successful Bazaar Home Edition chaired by Karen Adachi and rolling into temple flooring renovations and deep cleaning chaired by Gary Treganza and President-elect Gordon Nita, with help from our temple president, Stuart Ito, your temple board of trustees continues to conduct the administrative business of our church and Northern District temples. Dharma School Superintendent Val Fong successfully implemented Zoom distance learning for our Dharma School. Reverend Patty continues to share a Buddhist perspective as chaplain to the California State Assembly. Team Betsuin, led by Reverends Matt, RB, and Grace, are midway through teaching the 10-week religious education Cub Scout and Girl Scout Metta Padma Award. Reverend Tim continues to look after our sister temple in Marysville. Sensei Keith is helping to guide Florin, and Koichi continues to assist youth programming at the Buddhist Churches of America Jodo Shinshu Center. In the midst of our many personal challenges and adjustments to help protect one another from illness, hard is it to imagine that this is my 12th year of service to our Sangha as a minister's assistant. If my absence from our temple community has seemed conspicuous, please know that the well-being of our Sangha is at the forefront of my mind, especially as my medical work at the Sutter Community Medical Center is taking on a renewed intensity. This much having been said, I am humbled to have been invited to share today's Bodhi Day message. As an introduction to today's Bodhi Day service, I'd like to share a short story of a monk who sought enlightenment by joining a special monastery high in the mountains of Tibet. When the monk finally reached the secluded monastery, he was allowed to enter only by taking a vow of silence, whereby he was only permitted to say 2 words once every 5 years. After 5 years of meditation and practice, the monk appeared before the elders, who asked him what he wished to say. The monk looked up and said, "Food cold." And back to meditation he went. 5 more years had elapsed. The monk again appeared before the elders and again was asked what he wished to say. And the monk responded, "Bed hard." Again, he was dismissed and back to practice he went. 5 more years had passed, and the monk again appeared before the elders. When asked what he wished to say, the monk responded, "I'm leaving." To which the abbot responded, "About time. Since you've gotten here, all you've done is complain." This humorous illustration shared on Bodhi Day is actually an American joke about a monk seeking enlightenment. But Reverend Bob often mentioned that when Americans begin to share Buddhist jokes, it will be a sign that the Dharma is finally taking hold and being considered as a serious impact to the lives of all Americans. For R.B. would say, "Here in America, we joke about the most serious and meaningful issues and topics, so it is a good sign that Buddhism is being taken to heart across our country, but I digress." According to legend, the Buddha was born into a unique and princely existence. Despite being surrounded by every luxury, comfort, and entertainment, the young prince Siddhartha realized that he was not happy. He became consumed to understand the nature and meaning of life. It is said that at age 19, the young prince renounced his royal life, leaving behind his beautiful wife Yasodhara and infant son Rahula in order to search for his happiness. 6 years of ascetic practice and self-denial would follow, eventually leading to starvation. According to legend, Siddhartha had denied himself food to the point of existing on but 1 grain of rice per day. In this weakened state, Siddhartha would soon die. He knew, but he also knew that he was no closer to understanding the nature of life. It is said that a milkmaiden named Sujata took pity on him and began to give him nourishment. With his body stronger and his mind clearer, he sought refuge under the shade of a beautiful ficus tree. While in deep contemplation, reflecting on all that had been experienced and learned, Siddhartha awakened and realized that the root of his suffering and the pathway to happiness in understanding life was right before him. From that moment, Siddhartha became the Buddha, the awakened one, and the tree that he sat beneath became known as the Bodhi tree, the tree of enlightenment. Upon the Buddha's enlightenment, he realized that throughout his life, in order to survive, he would consume the sacrifices of countless other lives, plants and animals. In other words, the Buddha understood what Socho Ogui would often say, that his life was not only his life, but was the result of countless efforts, sacrifices, and kindness of others. With that awareness, the Buddha would live going forward, treasuring each day and every moment, living mindfully, gratefully, and full of deep appreciation, striving to pay it forward each and every day. This is the concept, the meaning, the central focus of our recitation of the Golden Chain. Gradually, as the Shakyamuni Buddha regained his strength, he articulated the reality of life, that all things are impermanent. Yet, at the same time, all things are interdependent. Everything in life is constantly changing. Yet, at the same time, everything is one in the karmic fabric of life. These teachings are at the heart of what we know today as the Middle Path, the Four Noble Truths, and the Eightfold Path. When we fail to realize that everything is impermanent and that all things are one, we are like the fabled complaining monk who after 15 years was still unable to awaken. Instead, he wasted his precious 2 words every 5 years to complain. Although he clearly had great determination deep within, he just continued to complain. He was living in a life of Buddhist fog. To live in Buddhist fog, F-O-G, means to be full of gas. which is the acronym for the three selfish poisons of greed, anger, and self-centered stupidity. We all know greed because we all want or think we want so many things in order to live. And we experience anger and frustration when things do not go our way. And of course, we always have to have things our way. And when we fail to live remembering that things are impermanent and yet always interdependent, we are living self-centered stupidity or ignorantly. Again, simply expressed, over 2,500 years ago, upon awakening, the Buddha realized that all things and all life is impermanent, and yet the awareness that all things in life are interdependent and interconnected is because we all depend on one another. Life is hard when we lose sight of these undeniable realities. The Buddha understood the way to make life less hard, less difficult, is to live with our wisdom eyes open and let go of the illusion that the world revolves around us and our wants, needs, and desires. This is the heart of the Buddha's enlightenment and the heart of the Nembutsu. When we think about it, if we really understood the reality that our time on this earth is limited and that our time together cannot last forever, we would cherish each day and treasure every opportunity to be with those whom we love. And if we really felt our oneness, our connection to the Dharma and to others, how could we not deeply care about all those around us? With our wisdom eyes, our enlightened eyes, with our Dharma eyes wide open, we would begin to live a life of endless gratitude. If instead we think that the world revolves around us for our wants, needs, and desires, it is that us who live selfishly. If we live wastefully and recklessly with the thought that we can use things, waste resources, and take people for granted without consequence, then it is we who are fools. One of the meaningful lessons taught by Reverend Bob in the form of his annual Metta Padma class was the No Mongku Contract. I first heard this contract in 2004 when I was auditing the Metta Padma class. The contract read this: Sacramento Betsuin No Mongku Contract. A Buddhist life, a life of Nembutsu, is often called a life of appreciation. But as soon as we complain, whine, or become angry, there is no room for appreciation in our hearts and minds. To live without Mongku is also a way of living a life of Nembutsu. Realizing this, we would live like our Metta Padma students, to experience the effort that it takes to live a life of Nembutsu. So the contract over the next 2 weeks was for the student to select a day agreeable by the parents, and the contract read thus: I, Kelvin Mark, will live the entire 24 hours without Mongku, without complaining, whining, criticizing, or becoming angry. If I should Mongku even once, my parents will select another day during which I will live with not even one Mongku. They will continue to select another day until a full 24 hours has been lived without Mongku, even once. Signed, student. Let me restate the point of this contract. A Buddhist life, a life of Nembutsu, is often called a life of appreciation. But as soon as we complain, whine, or become angry, there is no room for appreciation in our hearts and minds. To live without Mongku is also a way of living a life of Nembutsu. Realizing this, we would like our Metta-Padma students to appreciate the effort that it takes to live a life of Nembutsu. Like the monk who tried for 15 years to attain enlightenment at the Tibetan monastery, who wasted his precious 2 words, mongkuing and complaining of cold food and a hard bed, there was no room left in his heart to appreciate the sacrifices, efforts, and kindness of so many others who had enabled him to try to seek his awakening for all those years. And throughout his entire life, his mind and heart remained full of Mongku, full of the 3 poisons. Living a life of gratitude, we have the chance to live being surrounded by the feeling of Nembutsu. This is the essence of the Buddha's enlightenment. This is the heart of Nembutsu. This is the teaching that each day of life is most precious. The teachings of the Dharma reveal the consequence of our thoughts, speech, and actions everywhere and around the world. Therefore, it should be no surprise that the words and characters Namo Amida Butsu mean to live centered upon Amida Buddha. Said another way, if we really understood the reality that our time on earth is limited, that every opportunity we would treasure to be with those whom we love, and if we really felt our oneness or interconnectedness to others, how could we not deeply care about everyone? With our wisdom eyes open, our enlightened eyes open, with our Dharma eyes open, we would live caring in a state of endless gratitude. So as we pause to contemplate Bodhi Day, making the effort together as a Sangha, let us slow down from the busyness of our overscheduled lives to breathe easy and to do our best to appreciate each moment. In closing on this Bodhi Day, with palms pressed together, please join me in Gassho. Our most meaningful teachers have taught. Our lives are paid for from a coin purse that can never fully be repaid. Thus, let us strive to pay it forward by caring for those around us, not taking for granted the countless sacrifices, caring, and kindness of others. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, namanda, namanda.